Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 307 on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson in the chair on this, actually pretty pleasant day, Thursday, July 18th. There is so much going on. I tell you what, I don't know where to begin, but I do think that there are big stories breaking, and they couldn't get any bigger than these if you follow politics. It appears that, I don't know how to put this any more bluntly. It appears that Joe Biden's time as a nominee for his party may be very short. I'm thinking that we could get some kind of announcement between now and the weekend that he is stepping aside. I mean, all the signs are there, and I want to get in with that. We also will talk about, of course, the RNC last night. We'll talk about senators chasing the director of the Secret Service through the convention hall, and we'll talk about the latest in the investigation of Saturday's assassination attempt against Donald Trump. That'll all be coming up in this program today. This is a day to settle in. I have a feeling that we're going to have a lot of breaking news across the next few hours. It sure feels that way. And let me start off with the news about Biden. Now, as you know, yesterday, he canceled a speaking engagement in Nevada. He's already in Nevada. He's not feeling well. Apparently, he gets checked out by the doctor, and they say he has COVID. And they canceled the event, and then they had him go back. He's in Rehoboth right now at his beach house. He returned last night. Apparently, from what we heard, reporters are always aboard Air Force One. I've done some of that duty. I know what it's like. They crossed from Las Vegas to Rehoboth, to the airbase near Rehoboth. They did that in 3 hours and 41 minutes. They were picking it up and putting it down, as they say, and getting him back home. As he walked up the steps, he looked incredibly frail, either emotionally beaten down or just physically beaten down. He barely could climb the short steps to the aircraft. And then when he got to the landing place there out near far from Rehoboth, it looked as if he had to be helped into the limo. It did not look good, I'll tell you. And then against that backdrop, with him looking so frail and now having treatment for COVID underway, there is a drumbeat. I mean, the drumbeat is continuing in a way that I just can't believe that I've never seen before. You've got now 4 key Democrats: Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries. There are others. There's some 22 other elected officials who have come out on record saying that Biden needs to step aside. The story that's getting the most attention today comes from the Washington Post. Let me just read it to you. Obama tells allies Biden's path to winning re-election has greatly diminished. The former president, hugely influential in the party, has told associates that Biden's path to victory has significantly shrunk. This is a leak, and it's a leak done on purpose. Former President Barack Obama has told allies in recent days that President Biden's path to victory has greatly diminished, and he thinks the president needs to seriously consider the viability of his candidacy. This is according to multiple people briefed on his thinking. Obama doesn't want to come out and say, Joe, step aside publicly. He's just not going to do that. But what he does is he leaks this information out and tells people to go ahead and share this with reporters. Obama has spoken with Biden only once since the debate and has been clear in his conversations with others that the future of Biden's candidacy is a decision for the president to make. He has emphasized that his concern is protecting Biden and his legacy, and has pushed back against the idea that he alone can influence Biden's decision-making process. Behind the scenes, Obama has been deeply engaged in conversations about the future of Biden's campaign, taking calls from many anxious Democrats, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and has shared his views about the president's challenges, according to people with knowledge of the calls, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversation. And this is the line that tells me this is all true. A spokesperson for Obama declined to comment. Now, if this were not true, then the spokesperson would be pushing back against the report. And it sounds as if this is what you call a non-confirmation denial. They won't confirm it, but they're not denying it either. So this seems to be, the last nail in the, if you'll excuse the analogy, the political coffin of Joe Biden. It doesn't seem, when you hear this story being leaked out, and it is being leaked out on purpose, and with Obama's blessings, you can be sure. If Barack Obama wanted this to get out, if he didn't want it to get out, he would absolutely tell people, don't talk about this, and they wouldn't. But it's clear that it's been leaked, and it's been leaked for a purpose. From CNN, Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House, privately told Joe Biden in a recent conversation that polling shows the president cannot defeat Donald Trump and that Biden could destroy Democrats' chances of winning the House in November if he continues to seek a second term, according to 4 sources briefed on the call. Again, this is being leaked out with Nancy Pelosi's permission. The president responded by pushing back, telling Pelosi he has seen polls that indicate he can win. I haven't seen any of those polls. Another one of the sources described Biden as getting defensive about the polls. At one point, Pelosi asked Mike Donilon, Biden's longtime advisor, to get on the line to talk over the data. The phone call would mark the second known conversation between the California lawmaker and Biden since the president's disastrous debate on June 27th. While the exact date of the conversation was not clear, one source described it as being within the last week. Pelosi and Biden also spoke in early July. None of the sources indicated whether Pelosi told Biden in this conversation she believes he should drop out. But it's clear you don't have a conversation like that unless that's what you're suggesting. They want to say it without saying it. They want to present the data. They want the drip, drip, drip to build to the point where Joe Biden makes the decision on his own. Now, I don't know. You also hear that Schumer had a very frank conversation. That information has been out now for a couple of days, suggesting that there was no pathway to victory. And apparently Hakeem Jeffries has expressed similarly the feeling of the Democrat caucus in the House side that indeed there is no pathway to victory and the numbers are looking pretty bleak. It's a nudge, nudge, nudge thing, hoping that at some point Biden will get the hint and decide to get out. From Axios, behind the curtain, top Dems now believe Biden will exit. Several top Democrats privately tell us the rising pressure of party congressional leaders and close friends will persuade President Biden to drop out of the presidential race as soon as this weekend. I think that feels right. Why it matters, the 81-year-old president, now self-isolating with COVID, remains publicly dug in, but privately he's resigned to mounting pressure, bad polls, and untenable scrutiny, making it impossible to continue his campaign, the Democrats tell us. Behind the scenes, the private message distilled to its bluntest form, the top leader of his party, his friends and key donors believe he cannot win, cannot change public perceptions of his age and acuity, and can't deliver congressional majorities. The president is being told that if he stays in, former President Trump could win in a landslide and wipe away Biden's legacy and Democrats' hopes in November. The pressure to step aside as candidates has been rising to intolerable levels, especially over the past few days. Democrats fully expect after the Republican National Convention to show a possible blowout that could bring down Democrats in Congress, too. I've noticed, the president, the former president, is set to speak tonight in Milwaukee, and if he speaks tonight, this will be a moment that people will be just riveted on. It would seem to me that if you were going to do something to try to interfere with the Republicans' post-debate bump, that you make the announcement this afternoon. You make the announcement this afternoon, that becomes a story it takes and distracts away from Donald Trump's big speech tonight where, people are going to be, this is just days after the assassination attempt. People are going to be focused. But if you can distract away from that and get the news cycle to focus on something else, you could have an impact on his post-debate bump, which always comes following a convention. It just always happens. The Republicans get a bump and the Democrats get a bump. So he's already ahead. If he gets a bump, it's over. I mean, the numbers are looking so strong for Trump right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see something happen as early as this afternoon, but it feels like between now and the weekend for sure. Let me just play a few bits of sound. Officially, the Biden campaign is saying that he's still in, and that's not surprising. Here's Quentin Folks, who speaks on behalf of the Biden campaign.
Well, look, he's not off the campaign trail. He is continuing to do work from home. He is continuing to make calls, speak to elected officials and voters across this country, as well as do the official duties of being president of the United States. I think a lot of people have sort of lost focus. I myself have, but the COVID protocols are different. I think that they're, 24, 48 hours. He's going to continue to test and do the right thing. I think, interestingly, one of the times that the president almost got COVID was when Donald Trump was not following COVID guidelines when he was running this country into the ground during the pandemic and almost gave the president COVID during a debate.
Which is, of course, ridiculous. But, what he's doing is putting, lipstick on the pig. It's a bad situation, but he's, they're going to deny that he's stepping aside in the campaign until they don't deny any longer. I mean, that is their role. Until they get marching orders, they're gonna put on the face that everything is fine, everything is good. Van Jones has it right from the Democrat perspective. This is the way most Democrats feel right now. This is Van Jones last night on CNN. Listen to this.
A bullet couldn't stop Trump. A virus just stopped Biden. You've got the nominees of this party getting their butts kissed. Biden's getting his butt kicked by his own party. The Democrats are coming apart. The Republicans are coming together.
That's the way it feels to them right now, and that is a perfect analogy because it really is true. The Republicans could not be more united. Republicans could not be more enthusiastic. It's been a great convention so far for Republicans, and tonight we'll put the cap on it. Everything you look across the other side of the equation, and the Democrats are in complete disarray, as I've just been telling you. They've got a guy who barely can walk up the short steps to Air Force One, who has COVID and is now squirreled away at his place in Rehoboth Beach in Maryland, keeping away from, or Delaware, actually, keeping away from everybody and no doubt coming to some very difficult decisions. He did not look good climbing the steps to Air Force One. He also did not look good in this interview with BET, where he could not remember the name of his Secretary of Defense. He's trying to talk to BET, Black Entertainment Television, about his campaign and defending his record for the African-American community, and this is what he said.
And so it's all about treating people with dignity. And it's about making sure that, look, for example, look at the heat I'm getting because I named the Secretary of Defense a black man.
Can you believe that? He could not remember the name of his own Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. And then he said, the Secretary of Defense, the black man. Unbelievable. Real quick, other headlines. I'll just give you the headlines. Wall Street Journal, top Democrats turn screws on Biden. NBC News, we're close to the end. Biden world braces for the possibility that the president steps aside. It is bad. And then there's this story. How devastating would this be? Critical labor union endorsement may not land at Democrats' door. He's losing black support. He's losing Hispanic support. He's losing young people, Biden is. And now the possibility that organized labor will not even stand with this president. 21 past the hour. You know, there are no pills or spinal creams that can magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerves. You have two choices. You can undergo surgery or you can explore non-invasive spinal decompression. I can tell you that non-surgical spinal decompression worked for me. I have had problems with my neck and my lower back, and it has actually helped me more than you can possibly imagine. Their state-of-the-art facilities and the high-tech equipment that they have offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Now, getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley that they are offering half off spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine. That's right. If you're a new patient, you can get an exam, a consultation, x-rays if they are needed, and you get your first treatment, and it only costs you $23. So $23 for your first appointment, and then after that, half off for the non-surgical spinal decompression. What do you have to lose beside the pain that you're in? Isn't it worth a try? I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A Tennessee senator goes after the Secret Service director, and an arrest is made in a high-profile homicide case in Nashville. A break in the heat is coming your way. We'll have those stories at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 26 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. A little bit of breaking news. We've just learned that CNN anchor and Fox reporter and anchor Lou Dobbs has passed away. The announcement actually made by former President Trump on his Truth Social platform. He died dead at the age of 78. We've also learned, sadly, about the passing of beloved comedian Bob Newhart at the age of 84. That happened
94.
out in 94?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I looked at it wrong. 94 years old. He passed away, and it was announced earlier today. About noon, we heard that news. So the passing of a journalistic great and also a comedian who was, across many, many eras, continued to be just vibrantly funny. A sad note there. I want to talk about the RNC last night, and of course tonight we'll hear Donald Trump. All eyes. Is anybody going to miss this speech? Of course not. This is coming days after an assassin's bullet pierced his ear and very nearly took his life. You couldn't come any closer to having your life taken than he came, and he will be speaking tonight. The question is, will he have the bandage on? Will he not have the bandage on? The stupid people over at I guess, Joy Reid, MSNBC, her folks. She's just out there saying, and other people are saying, well, we're not really sure that he was actually, injured at all. They saw the blood, but it was a bullet or was it glass? No, it was a bullet. The glass would have come from the teleprompter, and the teleprompter was completely intact. I've double-checked and triple-checked that point, but they're making all of these assessments, and everybody's going to be watching to see what he has to say. He says he's torn up his speech and started over after the assassination attempt on his life. One can only assume a life-changing event. Last night, of course, it was J.D. Vance introducing himself to America.
One of the things that you hear people say sometimes is that America is an idea. And to be clear, America was indeed founded on brilliant ideas like the rule of law and religious liberty, things written into the fabric of our Constitution and our nation. But America is not just an idea. It is a group of people with a shared history and a common future. It is, in short, a nation. Now, it is part of that tradition, of course, that we welcome newcomers. But when we allow newcomers into our American family, we allow them on our terms. That's the way we preserve the continuity of this project from 250 years past to hopefully 250 years in the future. Now, when I proposed to my wife, we were in law school, and I said, honey, I come with $120,000 worth of law school debt and a cemetery plot on a mountainside in eastern Kentucky. Now, that cemetery plot in eastern Kentucky is near my family's ancestral home. And like a lot of people, we came from the mountains of Appalachia into the factories of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Now, that's Kentucky coal country. It's one of the 10 poorest counties in the entire United States of America. They are very hardworking people. And they're very good people. They're the kind of people who would give you the shirt off their back even if they can't afford enough to eat. And our media calls them privileged and looks down on them. But they love this country not only because it's a good idea, but because in their bones they know that this is their home. And it will be their children's home, and they would die fighting to protect it. That is the source of America's greatness. Now, in that cemetery, there are people who were born around the time of the Civil War. And if, as I hope, my wife and I are eventually laid to rest there, and our kids follow us, there will be 7 generations just in that small mountain cemetery plot in eastern Kentucky. 7 generations of people who have fought for this country, who have built this country, who have made things in this country, and who would fight and die to protect this country if they were asked to. Now, that's not just an idea, my friends. That's not just a set of principles. Even though the ideas and the principles are great, that is a homeland. That is our homeland. People will not fight for abstractions, but they will fight for their home. And if this movement of ours is going to succeed, and if this country is going to thrive, our leaders have to remember that America is a nation and its citizens deserve leaders who put its interests first.
I think that was a message that resonated with everyone in the hallway. We have much more to cover right now. Let's get to the news. It's 31 minutes past the hour.
On Michael with your headlines, weather and traffic coming up here in just a moment. It is 84 and mostly sunny. Senator Marsha Blackburn is posting a video she uploaded to social media at the RNC to her campaign list, which appears to show her and other Republican senators confronting the director of the Secret Service in the wake of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. ABC's N. Nguyen has more from Washington.
An unprecedented scene at the RNC. 2 Republican senators chasing down the Secret Service head demanding answers over the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Senators Marsha Blackburn and John Barrasso can be heard in a video of the incident, accusing Director Kimberly Cheadle of stonewalling. She told them it was not the right place for this conversation.
This is exactly what you were doing today on the call.
Stonewalling attempt. Blackburn, moments after the confrontation, posting a video on social media.
She can run, but she cannot hide.
Cheadle will be questioned by a congressional committee on Monday. The man wanted for questioning in the death of a Nashville business owner has been arrested after a manhunt in Middle Tennessee, according to the Metro Nashville Police Department and WSMV. Police said 24-year-old Ulysses Martinez was taken into custody in Nashville at the Somatel Motel on Metroplex Drive near Interstate 24 in Harding Place. Metro Nashville Police released Martinez's identity in connection to the death of Smoke and Thighs owner Matt Carney. A significant cool down is on the way and more weather. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Let's talk about Grace Point Healthcare, known for their affordable care, their comprehensive care, and their convenient care. You know, medicine delivered the old-fashioned way, the way you want it to be. And they want to remind you that, you know, school is on the horizon, kids going back to school. Do you need a sports physical or other kinds of medicine for your kids before they head back to school? Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. Now, maybe with the summer that we have left, you're scheduling an international vacation or going on a mission trip. Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all other international immunization protocols. And because they will see you the same or next day, you don't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. I mean, what good is having a doctor if you can't see him? They'll get you in within a day or so. Modern medicine at your convenience. They're located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868 to schedule an appointment.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
.39 past the hour, 3 o'clock. Hey, it's Brian Wilson in the chair. Nice day on tap, and boy, we could take a little break. We got a nice rain here last night.
Yeah, nice long shower.
Yeah, and my lawn said, more of that, please. I'm telling you. It's very pleasant to have a little rain and a little cooler temperature today. We're continuing to watch a lot of different things right now. I mean, is Biden on the way out as a nominee for his party? It seems like that is in the offing. It feels that way to me as someone who's covered a lot of these stories, that have a drip quality to it. When you start to have a daily drip and it just intensifies and it becomes, at one point, it becomes a flood. The little drips turn into a flood, and it becomes inevitable. And it seems that it is inevitable. And the only person who has not apparently come publicly to that conclusion is Joe Biden. But it seems like that's on the offing. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe by the weekend. But it certainly seems as if that's about to happen. Again, I'll be surprised if it doesn't. And then we're continuing to follow what's the events of the RNC, but also the investigation into the assassination attempt against President Donald Trump. To that point, last night, Kimberly Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, apparently was at the RNC, where she had a big, party planned. And the party was for people who were what she said are partners in securing the city of Milwaukee. And so she was going to that when she encountered 4 very angry U.S. senators, including our own Marsha Blackburn, who had some questions. They said, well, they just found out that she was there. They said, well, let's go have a little chat with her. And they cornered her up in the middle of the hallway there and tried to ask her some questions, and she didn't want to answer any questions. She didn't want to talk about it. This is not the venue. And then at some point she walks away, and the 4 senators, it's like a media scrum, chase after her, asking them questions. It's all captured on video. I know you've seen it by now. Today, Marsha Blackburn was a guest on the Matt Murphy Show, and she first talked about, what we have learned in that briefing that they had by phone yesterday. It didn't go well. I mean, they gave it was called a CYA briefing. You know what CYA means. Cover your you-know-what. And they got a little bit of the timeline down, and when it came time for questions, 4 questions were allowed, and then the phones went dead. They hung up on everybody. Here's what Marsha Blackburn said about the timeline.
So on that call, we found out that 1 hour before the shooting, at 5:10, they identified the shooter as a suspicious person. Then they lost track of him. Then at 5:51, after finding him again, they identified him as a potential threat. Now, during this entire time, no one has approached him. No one has said, give me the rangefinder. No one has said, open the backpack. Nothing. Then at 5:53, they alerted the sharpshooters they had a potential threat. Then at 6 o'clock, they allowed President Donald Trump to take the stage at a rally with thousands of people. And then at 6:11, it's when the president was shot, when the assassin carried out his attempt.
And about that confrontation with Kimberly Cheadle there at the convention hall, she continued her story.
We found out during that conversation that the Secret Service Director Cheadle, was in the building. And I said, well, let's go visit with her and see if we can get answers to our questions. So we went up to the suite where they were having a party, and it was one of these luxury suites. So we go in, we introduce ourselves, and we say, let her know we were cut off. We didn't get our answers. She is there. We would like some answers because she owes not only us, but the American people and the Trump team answers. So they're in this luxury suite. We are trying to have a conversation with her. That's what you see on the video. And she proceeds to tell us, well, now is not the time and place to answer our questions.
Oh, God.
And that she doesn't want to interrupt the evening for the partners. Here's the thing. She saw the partners, the people they had worked with, as being worthy of her time. But she did not see U.S. senators as being worthy. She said, well, we're going to leave because I don't want to stop them from enjoying the evening. And we're like, no. She would not give us an answer. She would not talk with us. She turned around. She walked out. So we said, we're going with you. So we went with her. So then her detail starts running her up some stairs in the middle of the arena. And so we go running up the stairs with her. And we follow her to a hallway, having told her we would go somewhere quiet and talk, and they slam the door. She would not give us 15 minutes of time. She tucked tail and ran.
She ran like a scalded dog, man. I'm telling you, it was embarrassing. She needs to resign. There's no doubt about it. One of the other senators there was Senator Barrasso of Wyoming, who talked about it on Fox News, that encounter.
Why wasn't that roof secure? Only 130 yards from the president. Why is it that this shooter could get onto the roof? Why is it that when he was seen as a suspicious individual an hour before the shooting occurred, that nothing was done about it? And then why 10 minutes before the president went on stage, when he was actually viewed as a threat, that they still let President Trump go onto the stage. So we went to see her with the plan of listening for answers. We want to know, the American people want to know, what are they hiding? Why is no one ever held accountable in this administration, whether it was from Afghanistan or whatever? Why is this woman still in this job as the director of the Secret Service after what happened this weekend? And she agreed to come on and have calls with 100 U.S. senators and then doesn't take our questions. So who the heck knows what she's going to do on Monday? We're not going to wait till then. We thought she was in the room. We could go talk to her last night, ask legitimate questions that all of your viewers have. I mean, you have video you've played of a man in the crowd saying, we're pointing up to the roof. There's a shooter up there, and no one was doing anything. She needs to answer those questions, and we thought we might have a chance to discuss them with her last night. Instead, she chose to run away.
She ran away. She absolutely ran away. And first of all, what in the hell was she doing in Milwaukee? That was not the place she needed to be. Absolutely was not the place she needed to be. She needed to be in Washington, D.C., looking over and supervising the investigation. Now, it appears that most of the investigation at this point is being handled by the FBI. I don't believe that the Secret Service can be trusted to investigate itself. And I'm not entirely confident these days in the FBI. I really am not. Look, do not underestimate the ability of people to, cover their six on situations like this. They're going to do everything they can. She's not stepping down. Her folks have put out a statement today saying that, she is not going to step down. She should step down. It shouldn't even come to that. Biden should immediately fire her. The buck stops with her. She's ultimately responsible for this agency that is responsible for protecting our presidents and our leaders. And, look, I mean, you got Cheadle at Secret Service. She reports directly to whom? Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, another complete failure in his job. But nothing ever happens against people who fail. Nothing ever happens in a Biden administration against people who fail. Listen, I'm telling you, if this happened to any other law enforcement official in the country, they'd have been gone by now. It really would have happened by now. What are we going to find out about the Secret Service and its failures? Now, we're going to go into the latest of the investigation into the assassination in the top of the 4 o'clock hour. I've got some new information to share with you there. But let's just isolate this one thing. What in the world can we expect to happen here? I think what we're going to find out is that the quality of the people inside the Secret Service has diminished during the Biden years. And I think Cheadle is directly responsible for it. I think she's absolutely responsible for it. She is more concerned about hiring disadvantaged people and people of color and making sure that I think a certain amount of the entire Secret Service is filled by, including the Protective Division, is filled by people who are of another gender, women. They want more women. I don't have a problem with the women being in, and I don't have a problem with a woman being in the protective detail. But you have to understand that a 5'4", 5'6" woman cannot protect a man who is 6'3". You just can't. You're supposed to be able to throw your body in front of the bullet. Well, you can't throw your body in front of the bullet and protect your person if you're a foot shorter than he is. Come on. You're gonna find a lot of this has to do with DEI policies and gone awry, and that's going to be, I think, one of the things you find, and a complete loss of quality people at key positions within the Secret Service. She will appear on Capitol Hill on Monday, and she will still be, I predict, in CYA mode. 50 minutes now, past the hour of 3 o'clock. Hey, listen, we've had some really weird weather this year. I mean, the spring was incredibly wet, and then you end up with very hot and dry weather like we've had over the last few days. That's when you start to see problems with foundation. Hot and dry weather, is soil cracking and pulling away from your home, and that leaves holes or gaps next to the foundation, and then that can lead to foundation issues. Are your bricks cracking, your walls bowing, doors or windows sticking, drywall separating? How about the stair-step cracks in masonry mortar joints or chimneys that tilt or lean a bit? All of these are signs of a possible foundation issue. And by the way, with extreme moisture and drought conditions, you could have the situation exacerbated. So, if you need that kind of help, why don't you call the people that I would recommend? United Structural Systems, been around since 1994. More than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. And the other thing they do that I think is pretty cool right now, if you have settling sidewalks or driveways, sinking slabs or patio steps, your sidewalk or patio, has it shifted? Do you have uneven concrete pool decks creating a hazard? Why don't you call them to bring in their USS Polylift system? Listen, this happens very quickly. The work can be completed in a number of hours. You can walk on it immediately, drive on it in 30 minutes. Everything will be level and plumb and just like it should be in short order. And it's cheaper than replacing the concrete. Don't replace it, raise it. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. Learn more at USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Reports say Biden's former boss is calling for him to drop out of the campaign. A well-known news anchor and a legendary comedian pass away today, and a big cool down for Middle Tennessee is on the way. Those stories coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
57 minutes now past the hour. Take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrials ended the day down 533 points. I think that's a couple of days of pretty severe losses. S&P down 43. The NASDAQ down 125. So all screens are vibrantly red today. What is driving the market? Let's check in with John Maxson over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, the NASDAQ yesterday had its worst day since 2022, and that continued today across all indexes. Had a little bit of good news, believe it or not. The labor market showed some signs that it was continuing to cool. That's where bad news is good news. The Fed's going to like that because, again, we're continuing to see progress on inflation. And the betting money in Wall Street is that we're not going to see our first rate cut in July, but we're going to see that in September. That remains to be seen. The Fed's come out today even and said they are continuing to see progress on inflation, and labor market cooling is a big part of that. The leading economic indicator index was another important report. That was good. A lot of Fed speakers tomorrow, so we'll get some more indication on where we're headed with inflation.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Learn more about all the things that Beacon Capital Management can do for you as you prepare for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 past the hour. You know, buying a diamond, if you're not properly educated, is hard. If you're not careful, you can overpay, and you can overpay by a lot. Small variations in a diamond's quality specs can make a huge difference in its value, and that's why I always recommend doing business with the folks at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamond education is second to none, really. They will teach you the secrets of the industry. They will explain how diamonds are priced on the world market. Their non-commission experts will make you a savvy buyer, even if you decide to shop somewhere else. These days, that's so important, especially if you're considering buying a lab-grown diamond. Let Genesis reveal the truth behind this recent trend and show you all the info on how lab-grown diamonds are being overpriced in so many other places. Bottom line, Genesis is your source for the best information as well as the best value for both natural and lab-grown diamonds. Whether you're buying a diamond for the first time or upgrading to a large, rare, investment-grade diamond, Genesis will make sure that you do not make a mistake. Genesis Diamonds, where the focus is always on honesty, transparency, education, quality, and value. Don't buy a diamond until you learn all about the ins and outs from Genesis. 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's 4 o'clock. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Partly sunny, 85 degrees on Music Row. A full forecast and the latest traffic report are upcoming. Some high-level Democrats are stepping up pressure on President Biden to step away from his re-election bid. Leaders of the Democrats in both houses of Congress, Hakeem Jeffries in the House and Chuck Schumer in the Senate, have urged the president to step back. And now new reporting from the Washington Post about what former President Obama is telling allies about the president's candidacy. Karen Travers has the latest.
A source familiar with Obama's thinking tells ABC the former president continues to see his primary role as a sounding board and counselor for President Biden, as they've long done for each other for many years. The source goes on to say Obama believes Biden has been an outstanding president and is, quote, protective of him both personally and of the Biden administration's strong and historic accomplishments.
More than 20 Democratic leaders are calling for him to drop out of the race. The political conventions are nothing if not money-making opportunities for entrepreneurs in the host cities. Here's a case in point from Jim Ryan.
Red MAGA ball caps and Trump T-shirts are everywhere, but on a table outside the security checkpoint to Fiserv Forum.
Yeah, so we're out here today selling Trump cereal. We're trying to make breakfast great again.
The brainchild of Von Stefan, the brightly colored boxes feature a picture of Donald Trump digging into a bowl.
Well, it's mainly freedom flavored, but it's in the shape of Cheerios.
Orange Cheerios specifically.
It's only right.
$20 a box in person, $30 online.
Well, it is the most important meal of the day. Legendary comedian Bob Newhart has died at 94. His publicist confirmed today in a statement. Newhart shot to fame with the release of his comedy album, The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, the first comedy album to hit #1 on the sales charts. That happened in 1960. The album led to stand-up tours and several hit television shows, including The Bob Newhart Show, which ran from 1972 to 1978. Also, Lou Dobbs has passed as well. A former news anchor for Fox and CNN, Dobbs was one of the early pioneers of cable news. He was 78 years old. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air all the way till 7 o'clock this evening. We got all kinds of stuff happening today. Oh, my goodness. It's the final day of the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, and this is the night that Donald Trump comes out on the stage. Will he have the bandage? Will he not have the bandage? What will he have to say? So many questions about that. We also have another story developing in that the current president of the United States is at home trying to get over a bout of COVID, we are told, and there are many rumors floating that he will step down before the weekend is out. Now, nothing firm, but a lot of people suggesting that may be the case, and a lot of people that are very close to Biden have been whispering in his ear that he has no pathway to victory, hoping he will take the hint. Feels like something is up in that regard. Of course, we're continuing to investigate the events of Saturday, where an assassin came within a couple of millimeters of killing Donald Trump. I mean, let's not sugarcoat this thing. It was close. It couldn't be any closer, to be honest with you. And many questions are being raised about what happened and these incredible lapses in security that seem to have been in place there in Butler, Pennsylvania. How in the world was that roof not covered? Is the big question. But I mean, we're learning a lot of new details, and each and every time we get some details, it adds to the story. And actually, the more you hear, the more you go, unbelievable that they did not take action. We now know that the shooter was spotted as a person of quote unquote interest about an hour, at least an hour, before Donald Trump took the stage. They had identified him. They saw him with a rangefinder. He had a backpack. Nobody approached him. Nobody confronted him. Nobody gave him trouble. Nobody asked him what the hell was he doing lurking around. Nobody, even though that many people, even in the magnetometer line hours before, had sort of picked up on this guy as being somebody who was just not right. He was nervous. He was pacing. And he has a rangefinder. Of all the things in the world that should set off alarm bells is a rangefinder. I mean, what was he doing? Coming for a round of golf? Or, come on. Should have raised a lot of questions there. Let me go through some of the new stuff that has come out as a result of the continuing investigation. Again, none of this is really coming from the Secret Service. This is coming from people on the scene and from people who were partners with the Secret Service and providing coverage on that day. We know this now. This from the New York Post. Good work. They've been doing great work on this. Thomas Matthew Crooks hid a rifle in advance of the Trump rally sniper attack, Secret Service sources say. Thomas Matthew Crooks, the 20-year-old would-be assassin who opened fire on President Donald Trump's Pennsylvania campaign rally Saturday, hid the weapon in advance, according to a Secret Service source. It was not immediately clear where he hid it, however. By the time the agent spotted him on the roof, he was already holding it. We went from a golf rangefinder to an AR-15, and now we have to fill in the gaps, the source told Fox News. When authorities first observed Crooks carrying a golf rangefinder Saturday, he was perceived as a person of interest, but not a threat. Person of interest, but not a threat, authorities said. Well, if he's a person of interest, why don't you go have a conversation with him? Why don't you ask him, what are you doing here, and what's this rangefinder for? Come on. Apparently, he was never approached. Now, rangefinders are not banned from the rally, but authorities are expected to review the list of items that are not allowed. He did not become an official threat until he was seen with the weapon. This is new information. There were 4 counter-sniper teams stationed around the rally, according to the Secret Service, 2 from the agency, 2 Secret Service sniper teams from the Secret Service, and 2 provided by local law enforcement. Of the 4 teams, 2 opened fire, 1 local and 1 from the service. A federal sharpshooter fatally struck the gunman seconds after the gunfire erupted. Crooks struck at least 4 people with his AR-15. He got off 8 shots from the rooftop, killing a 50-year-old father of 2 named Corey Comparatori, whose funeral is being held today, by the way, and seriously wounding David Dutch and James Copenhagen, of course, you know, grazed the president's ear. Authorities have spent much of the week pointing fingers about who was responsible for securing the AGR building where crooks opened fire, and nobody seems to be willing to put anything on that. So a review of some of the things that we are now learning today. JustTheNews.com has a really interesting article, said at least 6 major security failures at Trump rally leave more questions for investigators. Number 1, onlookers warned police about suspicious individual. I mean, they were warning him even before. And the question I think Marsha Blackburn asked was the right one. Why, if you had this guy spotted and he was on the roof, why in the world did you let the president go out on the stage until that was resolved? The guy should not have been on the roof under any circumstances. Number 2, a local officer sees crooks with a rifle. It was a local officer who first spotted this guy. Multiple questions. And multiple security officers spotted suspicious individual before the shooting. Congress has been given an early timeline, as the one I just gave you. Local police warned the United States Secret Service they did not have enough resources. Butler County District Attorney has said the agency was informed that the local police department did not have manpower to assist with securing that building that we're talking about. The account was also confirmed by a Secret Service official, according to the Post. And the most baffling question of all, why did they allow Donald Trump to remain on the stage if they knew there was a threat? If there's a threat, he should be taken off the stage. What Thomas Matthew Crooks did in the hours leading up to the attack. This is ABC News. Here's what we know. The day before the shooting, he went to a local shooting club and practiced at the rifle range. Counsel for the Clarkton Sportsman Club confirmed to ABC News. The 20-year-old purchased ammunition shortly before the incident, both online and in person, according to law enforcement sources. He asked his employer, a nursing home where he worked as a dietary aide, to take the day off of the shooting, said he'd be back as soon as the next day. Sometime before the shooting, Crooks attempted to search the internet for both Trump and President Joe Biden, as well as getting dates for the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and for those of the Democrat National Convention in Chicago. Sources said he also left a message on the gaming platform Steam, in which he said that the July 13th will be my premiere. Watch it as it unfolds. On the day of the assassination attempt, he asked to borrow his father's AR-15 style rifle, saying he planned to go to a shooting range. But because Crook's father had previously let him use the gun for target shooting, he was not suspicious that his son was planning anything of concern. Interesting that his parents called the police, though. They had some inkling that something was up. Crooks went to a local gun shop that day. We bought 50 rounds of 5.56 ammo. He stopped at a Home Depot to buy a 5-foot ladder, though it was not found at the scene and not believed to have been used to access the roof. There's a 5-foot ladder, a relatively short ladder. When he drove to the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, parking about a third of a mile away at a gas station. For at least an hour before the shooting, Crooks was seen walking around near the rally area. He was seen in a video obtained by Pittsburgh ABC affiliate WTAE, pacing just beyond the boundaries of the Trump rally at 5:06 p.m., around 1 hour and 5 minutes before the shots were fired. So there, we're getting a good TikTok. Again, none of this coming from the Secret Service. They won't even talk to elected United States senators about it. Good God. What's going on here? Now, much has been said about the 2 local police officers from the Butler Township Police Department. They only have about 14 officers on the entire force. 7 of them were directing traffic. 4 of them responded, including one who was the first to identify that the shooter on the roof had a gun. They ran away from their traffic positions to find out what was going on over at that building that was outside for some inexplicable reason, the perimeter. Here is Thomas Knight, the Butler Township manager, talking about what he knows, having talked to those two police officers who ran over, one of them boosting the other up so he could see what was happening on the roof.
There was actually a total of 4 Butler Township officers that responded to the building upon the initial call. They did a perimeter walk trying to identify the individual on the roof. Subsequently, as the perimeter got wider to try and get a better plane of view to the roof, 2 of the officers did in fact engage in lifting an officer up to the roof to actually get a vantage point of visual determination. Once the weapon was pointed at him, he let go of the roof and dropped approximately 8 feet to the ground. At that point, both that officer and the officer that had helped boost him up, both were on their radios indicating, that the individual was in fact on the roof and was armed. My understanding is that everybody who was working the actual security detail could hear anybody who was affixed to that tactical channel. I can tell you the interviews that our officers have had directly, subsequent to the shooting itself, have all actually been with the FBI.
Interesting that, okay, so they boost one guy up, he gets his hands up and he pokes his head up over the top of the roof, sees the guy with the gun points at the officer, he lets go because, obviously he's not in a position to pull his weapon and fire, so he lets go and then falls 8 feet to the ground. Both of those 2 officers immediately get on the radio and start saying, "We've got a man on the roof with a gun." And it was apparently it was on a tactical channel that everyone was supposed to be monitoring. Everyone was supposed to be monitoring this channel. Now, it seems to me that what probably happened here at this point is that the shooter now knows, oh my gosh, I've been spotted. They know I'm here. The jig is up. I've got to take action. If I'm going to do this, I've got to do it now. But what's going on with that guy? Well, obviously at this point, his heart is pounding. His adrenaline is surging. He's nervous and he's rushing to try to get the shot off before he gets, found out or arrested or killed. And so I think you could make a case that those Butlertown police officers probably did a lot in rattling that guy's cage so much that he missed the shot. They may be indirectly responsible for saving the life of Donald Trump because the shot went off and he got 8 shots off before he was killed. 8 shots, and one of them grazed the president's ear. It was so close. It was unbelievably close. But it sounds like those guys did everything right, and the Secret Service did a lot that's wrong. And ultimately now know apparently it was a Secret Service sharpshooter who took out the assailant. We do know that now. But so many questions emerge. What are Democrats saying about all this? An unbelievable piece of sound in a moment. Stay with us. 21 past the hour. I want you to let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your summer weight loss goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County, and they're located in Lebanon. Call the Restoration Wellness team today. Here's the number, 615-470-8124. You can visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, if you want to book a consultation today. Now, you're going to meet my friends Jamie and Carly, who will take really good care of you. They will treat you like you are one of their own. Be a part of the 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program, and I am one. Every day, it's a joy to step on the scale because I'm getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And you know what? There's the interesting part. It's been a breeze. I haven't even been hungry. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. These are customized treatment goals. They look at your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals, and come up with a plan for you. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn all about the newest technology in weight loss management. Just go to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
So just what can we expect from Trump tonight at the RNC? And we'll also have the latest Wall Street news from a down day. A significant cool down is on the way. Those stories at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
26 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, and you're listening to The Drive on this 18th day of July. Well, we got a break from the heat today. It's a very pleasant day. A little rain came last night. That was very nice. And boy, did we need it. I think my lawn could take about another 2-3 days of good rain.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's embarrassing dead.
And we'll take what we can get, I guess.
The bad news is my lawn is dead. The good news is I'm not having to mow it.
That's true.
I mean, there's no need to mow dead grass. Anyway, let's talk a little bit more about how the Democrats are looking at the events of Saturday. I cannot believe that anybody could see the tape, know what happened, and have some questions about it. But Joy Reid went as far on, she's on MSNBC, and there's nothing joyful about Joy Reid, I can tell you that. It's just like Joy Behar. Boy, are those two people misnamed. No joy in either one of those individuals. But she seems to suggest she thinks this is like, this has all been faked somehow. Listen to Joy Reid talking to her phone on a Twitter posting.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel.
The fact of the matter is we are pretty sure. We pretty, there's nothing that indicates that it was anything other than a bullet that grazed his ear. If it was glass, it would have had to have come from the teleprompters, and they were completely intact. I've looked at, every time I get a chance to look at the teleprompters on that video, and there's a bunch of videos that have popped up, they're completely intact. And let me tell you something, if a bullet hit that thing, it would shatter. It would completely shatter. It wouldn't just leave a hole in it, it would shatter. That's not tempered glass. That's just regular old mirror glass. There's nothing that protective about that. But let her continue.
We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much?
Isn't it interesting that she wants the medical records from Donald Trump, but not from Joe Biden? Just a thought.
We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him.
Yeah, we do.
We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooting. An active shooter situation, even though they at that point had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew that there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo.
They hate that photo. They hate that so much because that's going to become iconic.
And fist pumped the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage?
Did you not see the blood flowing down his face?
Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times, aggressively pursuing his medical records? It's just weird.
She thinks it's weird. I think she's weird. 30 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock.
It's 4:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. It's sunny and 84 degrees on Music Row. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The highlight of any political convention is the keynote by the presidential nominee on the final night. ABC's Jim Ryan has more on Donald Trump's preparation to address the Republican National Convention tonight in Milwaukee.
The former president is said to have torn up and then rewritten the speech he had prepared before Saturday's attempt on his life. Donald Trump's supporters wonder about the tone he'll strike.
I don't know what he's going to do, but whatever he will do, it will be right.
Barbara Wiley of Arizona is willing to guess at the content.
We're on the right track. We can't give up, and we got to work hard.
Trump is scheduled to speak at 10:09 p.m. Eastern this evening. Money News, here's Daria Albinger.
From ABC News Wall Street now, stocks tumbled across the board. The Dow, which had been heading into record territory for days, ran into a roadblock, falling 533 points. The S&P gave up 44, and the Nasdaq closed down 126 points. The losses hit many corners of the market, and in many cases, in stocks that reported earnings that beat analysts' expectations. Netflix reporting better than expected numbers after the closing bell. Domino's Pizza dropped nearly 14% after some robust earnings, but the chain is suspending its forecast on how many stores will remain open over the long term. Darden Restaurants, which owns Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, and other chains fell almost 3.5% after announcing it would buy the Chuy's Tex-Mex chain in a $605 million all-cash deal. More Americans applied for jobless benefits last week. The Labor Department says first-time filings rose by 20,000 to 243,000.
All three major indices were down today. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, let me tell you about the folks over at King Associates Insurance in Brentwood. Been around for over 25 years, and they are an independent agency. And let me just tell you, that's exactly what you want when it comes to buying insurance, right? Why? Well, if you go to one of these companies that's on the internet, you know, the big internet insurance companies, what a mess that is, first of all. But second of all, they've got one product they can offer you. An independent agency can shop around. They can go to a bunch of different companies, perhaps find something that will give you more bang for your insurance buck. I mean, what do you want from insurance? You want great coverage, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, right? Well, they can shop around and find the best deal, something that is really designed to fit your needs, not just something that they pull off the shelf. This number, 615-329-8121, is the number you call. And when you call that number, amazing things will happen. You're going to be shocked, stunned, and amazed, I know. Because you know what? There's going to be an actual human being who answers the phone. Oh, my gosh, when does that happen? Never anymore. And this person will take care of your problems or find somebody really quick who can. You're not going to play that game where you're on the phone for hours waiting to talk to a human being if you can actually get a human being at all. Multi-policy discounts 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 38 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock. Hey, it's Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air on this delightful Thursday, July 18th. Glad you're with us. There are a lot of stories breaking out there. Let me see if I can run through some of the stories that are going on. Former President Trump is poised to give his big speech tonight as the RNC wraps up all of its business today. Everybody's waiting to see exactly what he's going to say and how perhaps his view of things has changed following the assassination attempt on his life. That's one story. Questions continue to swirl with regard to the assassination investigation. We're learning more details each and every step of the way. And as we get those details, it seems to me that the big story that we're learning is that, well, the Secret Service really botched it. But they don't want to answer any questions. And we had senators literally chasing the director of the Secret Service through the convention hall last night trying to get answers, and they got none. And then finally, the other big story that's breaking today is there a lot of expectations that Biden will get out of the race by the time we get to the weekend. His campaign is saying, he's not going anywhere. But I must tell you that at right now, it feels like that there's a drip that is about to reveal itself to us. Biden is in Rehoboth right now. And he's recovering from COVID, but a lot of key Democrat players are nudging and pushing and shoving him out the door, and it feels like something is imminent. We'll keep an eye on all of that. Now let's go to our 2024 update and talk about that. Where are we in the campaigns? I mean, of course, the RNC is underway, and Biden is off the campaign trail for now. But I do have a new series of numbers from the battleground states, which, again, continue to look very, very, very good for Donald Trump. And it doesn't look too good for Joe Biden at the moment. But here we go. Let me just sort of go through all of this. In Arizona, an Emerson poll of the battleground state shows that Trump would win if the election were held today by 7 points in Arizona, a battleground state. Georgia, Trump would win by 6. Virginia, this is a pretty interesting number because a lot of the polls have shown Virginia as tied. The Commonwealth of Virginia, very important. You win Virginia, it's going to be a good night for Donald Trump in the early going. They have him up by 2. Trump up by 2 in the Commonwealth of Virginia. In Michigan, they have Trump up by 3. In Nevada, they have Trump up by 5. In North Carolina, Emerson has Trump up by 7. In Pennsylvania, they have Trump up by 5. Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen, Trump up by 5. And the lowest number here is Virginia, and that looks pretty good. Biden does not lead in any of the battleground states, according to Emerson. Now, there's another couple of poll numbers from the folks over at Insider Advantage. They have Arizona, Trump plus 5. Nevada, Trump plus 7. Pennsylvania, Trump plus 4. And again, these numbers continue to look very, very good. This is why Democrats are just shuddering. We're now talking. I can tell you right now, if everything were to fall the way it looks right now, and you just on the big electoral college map, if you're leading, you award the state to that candidate. Right now, it would be a landslide, an absolute landslide. Donald Trump would accrue something in the neighborhood of 325 electoral college votes. He only needs 270. Now, I mean, that's just assigning, even if you're in Virginia where you're up by 2. And in the average, he's only up by 0.4, but this new poll says 2. But no matter how much you lead by, you just award them that state, and you're probably talking about 300 plus electoral votes, which would be anything above 300 is a landslide. That's the way it looks right now. So you can understand why Democrats are losing sleep right now. This looks really, really good. Now, I hear you. I understand. I'm gonna do all the caveats I need to do. You say, Wilson, you look at the polls and you believe them. No, I understand what the polls are. And I look at them, through the frame of it's a snapshot of where things are likely today. You get one poll that says this, you don't pay much attention to it. You get 2, 3, 4, 5 polls that show basically the same thing. You say, well, we're on to something. And I think that there's something radically different about this election cycle than others that we've seen in recent years. And that is right now, as it stands, we have a situation where we know both of the candidates very well. We watched Donald Trump for 4 years. We have watched for nearly 4 years Joe Biden. We can compare and contrast, and Americans are doing that. I think, that instead of having people in some elections, you don't really know the candidates that well, or you don't know one candidate that well, but maybe you know the incumbent, but you don't know the person who's the challenger. But I mean, a lot of times in presidential elections, you're trying to learn about the candidate. Well, we know about these guys. There's not anything we don't know about these two. And I think that perhaps the other day, when we had this whole debate debacle, and perhaps even now with the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, people have been focused a lot more on the election early than they normally would have been, and I think they're coming down and making their positions known. It is expected, most Democrats believe that Donald Trump will get even higher numbers following his performance tonight. And you always get a post-convention bump. Well, if he gets a bump above these numbers, it is devastating for Democrats. Devastating. I just want to point out, I think Van Jones has it right. I don't often say that about Van Jones, but I think he's got this right. He's been looking at the convention, and he's been looking at what's been going on with Democrats. He's about as glum as any human being you have seen, but I think his assessment on this situation is right.
A bullet couldn't stop Trump. A virus just stopped Biden. You've got the nominees of this party getting their butts kissed. Biden's getting his butt kicked by his own party. The Democrats are coming apart. The Republicans are coming together.
And that's right. I mean, I do feel that the wind is at Donald Trump's back right now in a huge way. The numbers all seem to suggest that. The events of Saturday certainly have focused people on him. And if he gives a good campaign speech tonight, it really could be, just kind of seal the deal with a lot of Americans. A lot is riding on this speech tonight. And compare and contrast, this convention, which has been running like a Singer sewing machine, it's been running perfectly. You have Republicans that are unified in a huge way, a very big way. And you look across the aisle, and the Democrats are in total meltdown, total disarray. And the very best scenario for them right now would be that this weekend, Biden steps away from being the nominee. They hand it to Kamala Harris. I mean, it seems to me that's likely what they would do. They would give it to Kamala Harris. Because, for one reason, there's a lot of money that nobody else can spend but her. They've raised millions and millions and millions of dollars, and she's the only worst person who can spend that money besides Joe Biden. Joe Biden's out, then she can spend the money. Others cannot spend that money. That's a problem for Democrats right now. So, I mean, for a lot of reasons, mainly because she's there, and she has the support of people like Obama, and she has the support of people like Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and others. She will likely be the replacement. I don't think they'll try to replace both of them. So you got Kamala. That's the best option for the Democrats, is that they could get rid of Biden as the nominee, and they could start focusing on Kamala Harris and her running mate, whoever that turns out to be. And if that's the best you got, if you're pinning your hopes on that, should still be gloomy. They've been running some polls. Now, there are a few polls out there that show that Kamala Harris would do well against Joe Biden. I don't believe those polls because, her overall approval ratings are about the same as Joe Biden's, if not a little worse in some cases. So I don't see her as being, the person who's going to turn things around. But I think that we, on our side of the equation, need to understand that I think by the time the weekend emerges, I think there's a very, very strong chance that Biden is not the nominee, that Kamala Harris is the nominee, and then we need to adjust, right? I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. I mean, apparently in that tape that somebody captured Donald Trump without his knowledge at the golf course the other day after the debate performance, he was already making the move that it's going to be Kamala, and I think they're prepared to make that adjustment, and adjustments will have to be made. It's one thing to say, well, he can't run again because he's an old, decrepit man. You can't say that about her. You then have to change the narrative that you're pushing forward about the other side. And in her case, it's going to be she's just a horrible candidate. She's not a very good retail. She's in a lot of. I compare her a lot in many ways to Hillary Clinton. The Democrats may coalesce around her, but she's not a good retail politician. And Donald Trump is. He's very good on the stump. And I'll tell you something. I like the Donald Trump that I've seen emerging in this campaign more than I did the first time he ran. The first time he ran, I got the sense, you know what? I think he's just a little too out there. I think he was just a little too bombastic is the word I'll use. He's not been that way of late. I mean, he's still Donald Trump. He's still got a sense of humor. He still goes out there and sticks it to the other side. He still, has the things that I think the base wants to hear him say, but I think they've pulled back a lot. And one of the things I heard, after the last election where Biden won and Trump lost, what I heard was, if Trump had just pulled in his horns about 15%, he would have won that election. And I think that is the lesson he has learned. And Lord knows how an assassination attempt where literally you were a couple of millimeters away from being killed could change you. I'm going to be fascinated to see what he has to say tonight. Pop the popcorn, gather around the kids. It's going to be quite the show. 51 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Hey, here's a deal for you from the folks at Busy Bee HVAC and Plumbing. If you need to buy a new air conditioning unit, maybe that system you have, it's on its last leg. You've patched it up as many times as you can, but they're not meant to last forever, and it's time to replace them eventually. If you get any new AC unit, you qualify to enter a contest where you'll get a free 3-day beach vacation if you win to Savannah, Georgia in August, valued at $3,000. They will take care of gas, the lodging, and pay for 2 meals a day, and they'll be announcing the winner on Facebook Live. Only clients who purchase a new air conditioning unit in July are eligible for this to enter the drawing, and there will be only one winner. If you just think you need a little service call on your air conditioner, maybe it's not blowing as cold as you'd like it to blow right now, why don't you give them a call at 615-775-7833. They will waive the $89 dispatch fee if they do any work there. They'll waive the dispatch fee. And here's another deal. I talk about the Beehive membership all the time. Be a member of the Beehive Club like I am. Well, if you sign up for the Beehive Club, you will be able to give a free yearly Beehive membership to someone in your neighborhood. Must go to a family in your neighborhood, and that's a pretty cool deal. You got a big project coming, an HVAC project, 0% for 18 months with approved credit. For a plumbing project, it's 0% for 72 months with approved credit. They are your official Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833. Learn more at busybhvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, folks, did you know that gold is up 78% over the last 5 years? Silver up 99% during that same time period. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. The government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop it. Gold and other precious metals are a great shield against inflation theft. During an election year, you'll get a lot of promises from politicians that they'll rein in their spending. But you know how that goes. Listen, no matter who is in office, you should know this. Gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. And where do you go to get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They will take great care of you, keep you well informed on all precious metals. Please act now and get your shield out against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com and set up your appointment today.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Mostly sunny and 83 degrees. A full forecast and the latest traffic report are upcoming. As we're just hours away from Donald Trump's address and formal acceptance of the nomination at the RNC, a new CBS poll says the former president has a growing lead. The poll shows Trump is up over Biden among registered voters by 5%. Among likely voters in the so-called battleground states, the lead for Trump is the same 5%. Former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker says one reason is Trump delivered on promises.
For a lot of us, we didn't know what to expect 8 years ago. Donald Trump, beside the fact his style is definitely different than my style, his tone is different than my tone, in the end, he delivered on the promises he made to me and the American public during his 4 years in office.
Trump speaks shortly after 10 o'clock tonight. The man wanted for questioning in the death of a Nashville business owner has been arrested after a manhunt in Middle Tennessee, according to the Metro Nashville Police Department and WSMV. Police said 24-year-old Ulysses Martinez was taken into custody in Nashville at the Somatel Motel on Metroplex Drive near Interstate 24 and Harding Place. Metro Nashville Police released Martinez's identity in connection to the death of Smokin' Thighs owner Matt Carney. Legendary comedian Bob Newhart has died at 94. His publicist confirmed today in a statement. Newhart shot to fame with the release of his comedy album, The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, the first comedy album to hit #1 on the sales charts in 1960. The album led to stand-up tours and several hit television shows, including The Bob Newhart Show, which ran from 1972 to 1978. Also, Lou Dobbs has passed as well. A former news anchor for Fox and CNN, Dobbs was a pioneer when it came to cable news. He was 78. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
A bullet couldn't stop Trump. A virus just stopped Biden. You've got the nominees of this party getting their butts kissed. Biden's getting his butt kicked by his own party. The Democrats are coming apart. The Republicans are coming together.
That's Van Jones from CNN giving, I think, a pretty astute assessment of the situation. I mean, this Democrats are pretty gloomy right now. Gloomy. They're glum and gloomy. They're looking at it, and quite frankly, it's hard to know. The drumbeat continues. It's getting louder. It's getting louder. And at every turn, it's beginning to look more and more like Joe Biden may have to step aside as the nominee. Will it happen today? Will it happen tomorrow? Will it happen before the weekend? It's hard to tell, but it certainly seems that that's about to happen as the drumbeats continue. Officially, for the record, here's what they say.
Well, look, he's not off the campaign trail. He is continuing to do work from home. He is continuing to make calls, speak to elected officials and voters across this country, as well as do the official duties of being president of the United States. I think a lot of people have sort of lost focus. I myself have, but the COVID protocols are different. I think that they're, 24, 48 hours. He's going to continue to test and do the right thing. I think, interestingly, one of the times that the president almost got COVID was when Donald Trump was not following COVID guidelines when he was running this country into the ground during the pandemic. And almost gave the president COVID during a debate.
He can't help himself. But, I mean, this guy is out there. His name's Quentin Folks. He speaks for the campaign, and he's putting lipstick on a pig is what he's doing. And they will continue to do. Here's some more from him. Our campaign is not working through any scenarios where President Biden is not at the top of our ticket. He is and will be the Democrat nominee. And that's what he'll say until he's told otherwise. And honestly, that's what a campaign does. They deny, and then all of a sudden they don't deny anymore. It happens. I mean, I've seen this scenario play out so many different times in slightly different ways. There is a drumbeat, and it's undeniable. Let me just go through the people who have been saying things of recent days. Some have had personal conversations with Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Both have said, I don't think you can win. Hakeem Jeffries passed on the feeling of the Democrat caucus in the House. We don't think you can win. And then now comes word from Obama. Now, look, you're never going to hear his fingerprints directly on it. But I can promise you the leaks that have come out have been given, the people who are leaking this information have done so with his blessings. They would never do it otherwise. The Washington Post is reporting this, and here we go. Obama tells allies Biden's path to winning re-election has greatly diminished. The former president, hugely influential in the party, has told associates that Biden's path to victory has significantly shrunk. In the body of the story, former President Barack Obama told allies in recent days that President Biden's path to victory has greatly diminished. He thinks the president needs to seriously consider the viability of his candidacy, according to multiple people briefed on his thinking. Those multiple sources would not be talking to the Washington Post without Barack Obama's permission. This is Barack Obama's way of starting to turn up the pressure on Joe Biden. Obama has spoken with Biden only once since the debate, and he has been clear in his conversations with others that the future of Biden's candidacy is a decision for the president to make. He has emphasized that his concern is protecting Biden and his legacy, and has pushed back against the idea that he alone can influence Biden's decision-making process. Now, I've always said that if it's going to happen, it would have to be a unified front. It would have to be Pelosi, Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Obama, that level of people all saying the same thing to Joe Biden. And in one way or another, it seems like they have said that. Behind the scenes, Obama has been deeply engaged in conversations about the future of Biden's campaign, taking calls from many anxious Democrats, writes the Washington Post. He has shared his views about the president's challenges, according to people with knowledge of the calls. Who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. They don't want their fingerprints on it either. This is the way it's played in the swamp. And here is perhaps the most telling sentence in the entire story. You ready? Listen closely. A spokesman for Obama declined to comment. That is not a denial. If it were not true, I can assure you that Obama's spokesperson would come out and say, no, that didn't happen. The fact that they are not denying it, it's what we call a non-denial confirmation. We're not going to confirm it, but we're not going to deny it either. So there you have it. It to me, it appears that so much pressure is now being brought to bear on Joe Biden, who's sick. When I saw him get on the plane in Nevada late yesterday, during our program, we got the news that he was coming off the campaign trail because he has COVID, and he canceled his speaking engagement there in Nevada. And to me, it just didn't smell okay. Really, that's the reason. Maybe he does have COVID. I don't know. I can't make that judgment. I'll take him at their word for now, because I have nothing that indicates that he doesn't. He didn't look good. But it seemed to me when I saw him walk up the short steps, not even the big steps, the short steps on Air Force One in Nevada, where it's probably about 110 degrees, admittedly, I didn't think he was going to make it up the steps. He looked as if he had the weight of the world on his back, and he was moving really, really slow. I mean, at best, it seemed like he was really struggling to make it up the steps. It could be that he was also psychologically beaten down. I don't know. It just felt like he looked very weary and certainly frail, very frail. Publicly, Biden and his campaign advisors have remained defiant, writes the Post, saying that the president will not drop out of the race. Principal Deputy Campaign Manager Quentin Falk said Thursday morning that Biden's campaign was moving ahead. Congress's top Democrats, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of the Senate, have both spoken directly with Biden in the past week, warning about the widely held concerns that his candidacy could hurt the chances for Democrats' control of either legislative body next year. Pelosi has taken an even more active role behind the scenes, resisting effort by Biden to end the debate about his continued candidacy, according to people familiar with her efforts who spoke on condition of anonymity, once again to discuss sensitive matters. Obama, perhaps the party's most revered figure, has tried to keep a lower profile, hoping to draw on his longtime friendship with Biden, his former running mate and vice president. But Obama's role as the leader of the party from 2008 to 2016 made him a sounding board for concerns across the party. So it sounds as if something is up. Let me just read some other stories. Privately, Pelosi told Biden the polls show he cannot win and will take down the House. And Biden responded in that conversation with defensiveness. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi privately told President Joe Biden in a recent conversation that polling shows the president cannot defeat Donald Trump and that Biden could destroy Democrats' chances of winning the House in November if he continues seeking a second term, according to 4 sources briefed on the call. The president responded by pushing back, telling Pelosi he has seen polls that indicate he can win, one source said. Another one of the sources, I haven't seen any of those polls. I haven't seen any of them. Another one of those sources described Biden as getting defensive about the polls. At one point, Pelosi asked Mike Donnellan, Biden's longtime advisor, to get on the line to talk over the data. I mean, she was trying to make sure he understood exactly what the polls show. The phone call would mark the second known conversation between the California lawmaker and Biden since the president's disastrous debate performance on July 27th. While the exact date of the conversation was not clear, one source described it as having been held within the last week. Pelosi and Biden also spoke in early July. So there you have it. One Dem aide describes the party's chances in 2 words: And those two words are right now. As of right now, Joe Biden is losing the 2024 election. And that's true. Top Democrats turn the screws on Biden, Wall Street Journal. Democrat leaders delay procedural votes to seal his nomination before the August convention. Lawmakers fear steep down-ballot losses. The new developments showed that the efforts to oust Biden, while quieter in the immediate aftermath of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, have not stopped. They reveal how the president's grip on his party has slipped and fundraising anemic, and his top lieutenants bending after a threatened revolt over the campaign's efforts to speed up his nomination. They were trying to do it by in sort of a virtual setting early. And people started screaming bloody murder. No, you won't. By the way, that was all designed basically to meet the concerns that he would not be on the ballot in Ohio, but Ohio made the changes, and you got the Secretary of State of Ohio saying there's no need for you guys to rush. The Democrat maneuvering comes as the Republican Party is unifying around Trump at its convention in Milwaukee. The former president, already popular with the GOP base, has garnered near mythic status among his supporters after shots were fired at him during a rally in Butler, PA. Some convention goers are wearing white rectangle-shaped bandages over their right ears to show solidarity with Trump, who was nicked by a bullet. It presents a jarring contrast. It sure does. An energized and unified Republican Party is eager to anoint its chosen candidate. The Democrat Party is considering an end run around its normal process to install an 81-year-old leader who has exceedingly grown to have a narrow path to victory and threatens to be a drag on down-ballot races and has done little to reassure key Democrats about his ability to effectively campaign over the next several months. Biden is at Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, his vacation home there, recovering from COVID-19. White House said that he tested positive, sidelining him at a crucial moment. Axios, behind the curtain, top Democrats now believe Biden will exit. Several top Democrats privately tell us he's the rising pressure by party, congressional leaders, and close friends will persuade Biden to step out of the presidential race as soon as this weekend. The private messaging distilled to its bluntest form, the top leaders of the party, his friends, and key donors say he cannot win, can't change public perceptions of his age and acuity, and can't deliver congressional majorities. The president is being told that if he stays in, former President Trump could win in a landslide and wipe away Biden's legacy and Democrats' hope in November. Democrats fully expect polls after the Republican National Convention will show a possible blowout that could bring down Democrats in Congress, too. His choice is to be one of history's heroes or to be sure of the fact that there'll never be a Biden presidential library, one of the president's close friends told us. I pray that he does the right thing. He's headed that way. I've always felt in the last week or two that if something were going to happen, it would happen perhaps today. I mean, no indication that it's that imminent, but it seems like it is in the offing. But if he were to do it today, think about this, he would distract away from former President Trump's big speech tonight on the RNC stage. He might mess up the expected post-convention bump that Trump is expected to get. You know, it seems to me that this would be the time to do it if you're going to do it and gain any political advantage out of what is going to be a lemon decision. You could at least make a little lemonade by distracting away from the big speech tonight. We're on it. It could change at any moment, but all of my reporters' spidey senses tell me it's likely to happen no later than this weekend. We'll see if we're right, or maybe he's more stubborn than we imagine. 21 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. You know, as much as we'd like it to be the case, the folks at the Wellness Institute of Nashville want you to know there are no pills, no spinal creams that can magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerves. You got a couple of choices. One of them is surgery, going under the knife. The other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I have problems with my neck and my lower back. It comes from some accidents I had when I was a younger person, but I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and it has helped. It's helped so much. They have their state-of-the-art facilities and the latest in high-tech equipment, offering the best in non-surgical procedures. Getting better is so important that Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression for your knee. If you got knee problems, what they do is they gently elongate the knee and allows the healing therapy to get deep within the joint. Listen, if you are a new patient, go in for a treatment. Here's the thing. You'll get an exam. You'll get a consultation. They'll talk about what you need to do going forward. An x-ray if you need to take one to see where things are. And then you'll get your first treatment all for $23. So $23 for your first treatment and then half off the state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression treatments after that. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
A neo-Nazi marcher arrested over the weekend has to stay in Davidson County, and a Tennessee senator chases down the Secret Service director. Those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
26 past the hour, 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. So many things are swirling around right now. We got President giving his big speech to the convention tonight. He has torn up his previous speech and has begun rewriting it. Some indication he apparently spoke to a group of supporters last night, and some of that has been captured and is on the internet, and simply said that it has, you can't go through something like that without having changed you in some way. And he rewrote the speech following that event. So everybody wants to know, will he come in without the bandage or with the bandage? Is he going to reveal the ear? And then what will he say? And how will he lay out? One way or the other, people are going to... This is really the first time many Americans will have had the chance to hear him talk since the events of Saturday, when he nearly lost his life. Very nearly. So close. Last night, of course, with J.D. Vance, here's a little bit of what I consider some of the best of what he had to say. It's a long thought for him. It takes him about 2.5 minutes to get this out, but I think it's worth hearing.
One of the things that you hear people say sometimes is that America is an idea. And to be clear, America was indeed founded on brilliant ideas like the rule of law and religious liberty, things written into the fabric of our Constitution and our nation. But America is not just an idea. It is a group of people with a shared history and a common future. It is, in short, a nation. Now, it is part of that tradition, of course, that we welcome newcomers. But when we allow newcomers into our American family, we allow them on our terms. That's the way we preserve the continuity of this project from 250 years past to hopefully 250 years in the future. Now, when I proposed to my wife, we were in law school, and I said, honey, I come with $120,000 worth of law school debt and a cemetery plot on a mountainside in eastern Kentucky. Now, that cemetery plot in eastern Kentucky is near my family's ancestral home. And like a lot of people, we came from the mountains of Appalachia into the factories of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Now, that's Kentucky coal country. It's one of the 10 poorest counties in the entire United States of America. They are very hardworking people, and they're very good people. They're the kind of people who would give you the shirt off their back even if they can't afford enough to eat. And our media calls them privileged and looks down on them. But they love this country, not only because it's a good idea, but because in their bones they know that this is their home, and it will be their children's home, and they would die fighting to protect it. That is the source of America's greatness. Now, in that cemetery, there are people who were born around the time of the Civil War. And if, as I hope, my wife and I are eventually laid to rest there, and our kids follow us, there will be 7 generations just in that small mountain cemetery plot in eastern Kentucky. 7 generations of people who have fought for this country, who have built this country, who have made things in this country, and who would fight and die to protect this country if they were asked to. Now, that's not just an idea, my friends. That's not just a set of principles. Even though the ideas and the principles are great, that is a homeland. That is our homeland. People will not fight for abstractions, but they will fight for their home. And if this movement of ours is going to succeed, and if this country is going to thrive, our leaders have to remember that America is a nation and its citizens deserve leaders who put its interests first.
Very powerful. And I had to cut out a lot of the reactions in order to get the crux of what he was trying to say in there. But, I mean, well received by the audience for sure. 30 minutes now past the hour. Time for news.
It's 5:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Partly sunny and 83 degrees. The latest traffic report and weather forecast in 5 minutes. A Davidson County judge reduced the bond for a Canadian neo-Nazi facing aggravated assault charges after a downtown skirmish, but ordered him to surrender his passport and be fitted with an ankle bracelet before being released from jail. Ryan Scott McCann, 29, a self-employed painter, was captured on video Sunday using a flash flagpole with a Nazi flag to assault a local bartender who had confronted McCann's neo-Nazi group. WTVF reports the bond was reduced from $80,000 to $50,000. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn is posting a video she uploaded to social media at the RNC to her campaign list. And it shows her and other Republican senators confronting the director of the Secret Service in the wake of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. ABC's M. Nguyen has this from Washington.
An unprecedented scene at the RNC. 2 Republican senators chasing down the Secret Service head demanding answers over the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Senators Marsha Blackburn and John Barrasso can be heard in a video of the incident, accusing Director Kimberly Cheadle of stonewalling. She told them it was not the right place for this conversation.
This is exactly what you were doing today.
This
on the
was
call.
an
Stonewalling.
Attempt. Blackburn, moments after the confrontation, posting a video on social media.
She can run, but she cannot hide.
Cheadle will testify in front of a congressional committee on Monday. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
You know, with this time of year, you get out there and you do a little grilling in the backyard. And if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home, right on your very own grill. Take a walk down your local grocery store aisles, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Now, he's got a marinade. It's a proprietary blend that will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You just don't have to worry about over-marinating because of that. Now, don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips. A recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, why don't you ask him to do so? For more information, go to his website, johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 37 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, when I was a reporter, one of the things I loved to do, it was my favorite thing as a reporter. A lot of people don't like it. I loved it. I always thought it was it was among the most fun things to do, and that's to get involved in a good media scrum. You know, when you're 6'4" and 250, well, I was at the time, 250 pounds, you know, you can handle yourself okay in a big media scrum. You're going to come out okay. You know, you do your very best to, you know, not bump into people, but to make sure that, you know, you get the sound that you need when people don't want to talk to you. And I want to tell Senator Marsha Blackburn, she would have made a great reporter. Because she was dogging the director of the Secret Service last night in the convention hall. If you haven't seen that tape, it's really quite amusing. I mean, basically what happened yesterday was the director of the Secret Service gave a briefing. And the briefing was, you know, a virtual briefing on the phone. All senators were involved in this call. They did one for the House, one for the Senate. And they were both very short and to the point. And most people had a lot of questions, and they basically cut off the questions after 4 questions. It really hacked off a lot of United States senators. A lot of people had questions. And so after that virtual briefing, they found out that Kimberly Cheadle had done that briefing from the RNC headquarters, right there in Milwaukee, right where the convention is going on. They said, well, we didn't get a chance to ask our questions on the phone. Let's go find her, and let's ask her our questions. So a group of senators got their back up and went to track her down. One of them was Marsha Blackburn, and they tried to get questions answered, and she just simply said, nope, that's not going to happen. Not here, not at this venue. And she walked away, and they chased her throughout the entire convention hall, you know, like a bunch of reporters, you know, dogging her after, you know, some little soundbite. They couldn't get her to respond. Well, anyway, Marsha Blackburn was on Matt Murphy's show this afternoon. And she first of all laid out some of the information they learned in the phone call. They sort of did a TikTok. Everybody's interested in the TikTok, the timeline of how things went down. But as they revealed the timeline, she said there were some pretty obvious questions that needed to be asked.
So on that call, we found out that 1 hour before the shooting, at 5:10, they identified the shooter as a suspicious person. Then they lost track of him. Then at 5:51, after finding him again, they identified him as a potential threat. Now, during this entire time, no one has approached him. No one has said, give me the rangefinder. No one has said, open the backpack. Nothing. Then at 5:53, they alerted the sharpshooters they had a potential threat. Then at 6 o'clock, they allowed President Donald Trump to take the stage at a rally with thousands of people. And then at 6:11, it's when the president was shot, when the assassin carried out his attempt.
I mean, that timeline is in keeping with everything that I've seen. It seems to be pretty accurate. And the question is, if they knew there was a threat, why did they let him go out on the stage? Why didn't they hold him back until they got a chance to find out who the hell was on that roof and what he was doing? It's a really good question. It's right up there with the other big question is, why wasn't somebody already on that roof? Anyway, then they cornered her. They tried to get answers from her. They couldn't get any answers from Kimberly Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, and it was an ugly scene after that.
We found out during that conversation that the Secret Service director, Director Cheadle, was in the building. And I said, well, let's go visit with her and see if we can get answers to our questions. So we went up to the suite where they were having a party, and it was one of these luxury suites. So we go in, we introduce ourselves, And we say, let her know we were cut off. We didn't get our answers. She is there. We would like some answers because she owes not only us, but the American people and the Trump team answers. So they're in this luxury suite. We are trying to have a conversation with her. That's what you see on the video. And she proceeds to tell us, well, now is not the time and place to answer our questions.
Oh, God.
And that she doesn't want to interrupt the evening for the partners. Here's the thing. She saw the partners, the people they had worked with, as being worthy of her time. But she did not see U.S. senators as being worthy. She said, well, we're going to leave because I don't want to stop them from enjoying the evening. And we're like, no. She would not give us an answer. She would not talk with us. She turned around. She walked out. So we said, we're going with you. So we went with her. So then her detail starts running her up some stairs in the middle of the arena. And so we go running up the stairs with her. And we follow her to a hallway, having told her we would go somewhere quiet and talk, and they slam the door. She would not give us 15 minutes of time. She tucked tail and ran.
Like a scalded dog, she ran. She did not want to be there. And, she understood that there were people with phone cameras that were taking all this in. I mean, it's the good thing, this is radio. If you want to see it, it's on the internet. No doubt anybody who pays attention to world events has seen that little clip by now. It's hilarious. They're chasing her down the hallway and up a stairwell, and they're just barking questions at her like a bunch of reporters, and I got to tell you, I'm glad they did. She needed to understand just how angry people are. It's easy when you're a director of this or that to become insulated from things and not really understand, how people feel. I wanted to feel the heat. I'm glad that Marsha Blackburn and by the way, Senator Barrasso was also there. James Lankford was there from Oklahoma. They were all being denied the answer to any questions whatsoever.
Why wasn't that roof secure? Only 130 yards from the president. Mm-hmm. Why is it that this shooter could get onto the roof? Why is it that when he was seen as a suspicious individual an hour before the shooting occurred, that nothing was done about it? And then why 10 minutes before the president went on stage, when he was actually viewed as a threat, that they still let President Trump go onto the stage? So we went to see her with the plan of listening for answers. We want to know, the American people want to know, what are they hiding? Why is no one ever held accountable in this administration, whether it was from Afghanistan or whatever? Why is this woman still in this job as the director of the Secret Service after what happened this weekend? And she agreed to come on and have calls with 100 U.S. senators and then doesn't take our questions. So who the heck knows what she's going to do on Monday? We're not going to wait till then. We thought she was in the room. We could go talk to her last night, ask legitimate questions that all of your viewers have. I mean, you have video you've played of a man in the crowd saying, we're pointing up to the roof. There's a shooter up there, and no one was doing anything. She needs to answer those questions, and we thought we might have a chance to discuss them with her last night. Instead, she chose to run away.
Yeah, she ran away, and interesting that that's the way it's all coming together. Look, she needs to be fired. The only argument you can make to not firing her right now is and this is the argument that is being made. Yeah, you don't want to change horses in the middle of a very important time with conventions and all that kind of stuff. You need to, keep some consistency and some continuity. But the fact of the matter is, there are some very talented people at the Secret Service with years and years and years and years of experience who could step into that role in about a half a heartbeat and could take on, and you would never miss a beat. And by the way, could probably correct the things that are being done wrong by the Secret Service in very, very short order. She's going to appear on Capitol Hill on Monday. I'm not entirely clear on exactly how she's going to appear. I mean, there's a talk that she'll appear before the House, talk that she'll appear before the Senate. She's gonna give a lot of CYA answers and defer. So, well, we don't have all that down. We need more time to conduct our investigation. They're not conducting the investigation as best I can tell. It's the FBI. I don't have confidence in the Secret Service conducting its own investigation. That's a bad idea. Because then the Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security is apparently beginning an investigation. The FBI is conducting its investigation, and quite frankly, as much as I have a lot of respect for rank-and-file officers of the FBI, I don't trust the FBI anymore. I hate to say that. I sound like a conspiracy nut, but I don't trust the FBI at all, and with good reason, I think. They have proven themselves to not be reliable. And I'm talking about the brass in Washington. So, I don't know what we're going to, and then the hearing, is it going to be a joint hearing? Is it, because, Mark Green says he's going to be asking questions, and he's the chairman of jurisdiction over the Secret Service as the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. James Comer does oversight, and, they have a big, broad brush. So are they going to put a bunch of the key players together? Is it going to be a sort of a special hearing with special members, some kind of special panel that's been assembled to ask these questions and get at the truth? I don't know. It's not clear to me, but I have a feeling on Monday we're not going to hear a lot more. Here's what I think. I think at the end of the day, you're going to find that a lot of the problems emanate from the way the Secret Service has been managed during the Biden years. The Biden years, you got this woman, Cheadle, who seems to be all about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that we have more women on the force, and making sure that I think I heard today, 12% of the force at the Secret Service are disabled. I mean, she's all about equity and quotas and that kind of stuff. And, this is one of those agencies where if a woman can do the job, that's fine. But the job has certain requirements. For one thing, why would you put somebody who's 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", somewhere in that neighborhood, covering a man who's 6'3"? Why would you do that? If your job is to throw yourself in front of the bullet and to protect your protectee, and you're only 5'5", and the man that you're covering is 6'3", you're going to leave a portion of that man uncovered. There is one Secret Service agent, a female, who was seen fumbling with her gun, who seems to be completely freaked out by what's going on, while others around them seem to be keeping their heads about them and doing what I think they should have done. Who is that woman? What's her story? She couldn't even find her holster. It is 50 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Talking about my good friends over at Beacon Capital Management. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize your taxes? It might be hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying in taxes in retirement. You could be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer to schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303. That's 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, No lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 83 degrees. The latest traffic report and weather forecast in 5 minutes. Following a manhunt, the man wanted for questioning in the death of the owner of Smokin' Thighs has been charged with criminal homicide, according to the Metro Nashville Police Department. WSMV reports 24-year-old Ulysses Martinez is being charged with criminal homicide after Matthew Carney was killed in a hit-and-run crash on June 19th at the restaurant on Wedgwood Avenue. MNPD said through further investigation today by the homicide and traffic units, Martinez at this hour is being charged with criminal homicide and evidence tampering in the death of the restaurant owner. Shelbyville police report the human remains found more than a week ago have been identified as a missing 16-year-old girl. SPD said the remains of Maria Lucas Gasper were found on Old Nashville Dirt Road on July 8th. Republican senators chased down Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle at the Republican National Convention on Wednesday, wanting answers on the attempted assassination of former President Trump last Saturday. The demand for better transparency comes as investigators say the suspect, Thomas Matthew Crooks, searched on his phone for dates of the former president's rally in Butler, as well as dates of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. And investigators tell lawmakers that 20 minutes passed between when Secret Service snipers first spotted Crooks and when shots were fired. National security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy says, don't blame local police.
Ultimately, the U.S. Secret Service is responsible for the entire event. They shouldn't be pointing fingers at subordinate units. They need to take responsibility, and they need to explain themselves. This shouldn't have happened, and it's really important to get to the bottom of this problem because there is a current presidential campaign that's going on, both with President Biden and former President Trump.
And Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle will testify on Capitol Hill on Monday. Legendary comedian Bob Newhart has died at 94. His publicist confirmed today. Newhart shot to fame with the release of his comedy album, The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart. It was the first comedy album to hit #1 on the sales charts. The album led to stand-up tours and several hit television shows, including The Bob Newhart Show, which ran from 1972 to 1978. Also, Lou Dobbs has passed as well, a former news anchor for Fox and CNN. Dobbs was a pioneer when it came to cable news. He was 78. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're getting home safely on this 18th day of July. I got to tell you, it's just delightful outside. I made a little walk out during the break to catch some fresh air, and there's a lot of fresh air, and it's not humid. I love that.
Yeah, all we needed was a little rain shower to bring this.
I'm telling you, that rain shower was. I need about another 2 or 3 of those to recover my. I mean, as I said earlier, the bad news is my lawn is dead. I mean, it's just brown. And the good news is I don't have to mow it. So, I mean.
Yeah. Well, after the rain, that's a little less crispy now.
Yeah, maybe it'll be just soggy brown. Yeah. And that's what we hope for. Well, anyway, one way or the other, it is a lovely day outside. In the news today, we got all kinds of things that are just burbling everywhere. This is a day where, maybe you follow the news loosely. Well, if you care about what's going on around the world right now and all this stuff that's happening, this would be a good time to stay plugged in because I'm telling you, we got a lot of big stories. First of all, tonight, Donald Trump will speak to the convention on the closing night of the RNC in Milwaukee. Could have been in Nashville. And he's many questions. Will he show up with the bandage or will they take the bandage off? What has he done to change his speech, and how will the nature of his campaign change as a result of the events of Saturday, where he said it was a life-changing event? Apparently, I heard that he told RFK Jr. in a phone call that it was like the world's largest mosquito. Apparently he heard the whizzing of the bullets. That's how could you not? It hit your ear, for goodness sakes. So, to be within millimeters, a few millimeters one way or the other, and you're talking about a whole different outcome here. How could that not change your perspective on things? It would certainly change your perspective. It certainly would get your undivided, rapt attention, I'll tell you that. I think you're going to hear him say that God was with him. He apparently did speak to some convention goers for a brief moment or two last night, and some of that has leaked out. May give you an indication of where he's going to be. So that's going on. Number 2, Joe Biden. Is he in or is he out? There is a drumbeat that's underway now that it sounds as if it feels like to me he probably could be out by the weekend. I could be wrong. A lot of people are predicting something will happen between now and Sunday. Wouldn't be surprising. The drumbeat is there. He is, of course, back in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where he's recovering from COVID. Canceled his appointments yesterday in Las Vegas, Nevada. Got aboard Air Force One, but just barely. I mean, they almost had to push him up the little short steps. And then when he got into the limo on the other end of the trip, which I understand was made in record time, then he looked as if he needed a little help getting, seated in the car. He was that weak. Now, look, when a president is not feeling well, they're never going to tell you that. When a president is really weakened, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to try to keep that from you because we don't want our adversaries to think that our president is in any way incapacitated. But he's in Rehoboth Beach and is recovering, and a lot of people think that the drumbeat of Democrats to push him out and replace him with, I guess, Kamala, is growing louder and louder by the hour. And the only person who doesn't seem to understand that he's no longer going to be the nominee seems to be the nominee. So we'll watch that one. And, of course, now I want to talk to you about the third story, the investigation into what's going on in Butler, Pennsylvania. We have a bit more new information. Here's from the New York Post, who's been doing some good reporting on this. Thomas Matthew Crooks hid a rifle in advance of Trump's rally sniper attack, Secret Service sources say. Thomas Matthew Crooks, the 20-year-old would-be assassin who opened fire on President Donald Trump's Pennsylvania campaign rally Saturday, hid the weapon in advance, according to Secret Service sources. It is not immediately clear where he hid it, however. By the time that the agents got there on the scene and spotted him on the roof, he was already holding it. There you go. By the time he went from golf range finder to AR-15. Now we have to fill in the gaps, a source told Fox News. When authorities first observed Crooks carrying a golf range finder Saturday, he was perceived as a person of interest, but not a threat, authorities said. Rangefinders were not banned from the rally events at the time, but now authorities are reviewing the list of items that will be allowed at future rallies. There were 4 counter-sniper teams stationed around the rally, according to the Secret Service, 2 from the agency and 2 provided by local law enforcement. Of the 4 teams, of the 4 different snipers, counter-snipers, 2 opened fire, 1 local and 1 from the Secret Service. A federal sharpshooter fatally struck the gunman seconds after the gunfire erupted. So apparently they're now saying that it was one of the sharpshooters from the Secret Service that took out the gunman, but not before he got off 8 shots. 8 shots. He nearly killed former President Trump. He did kill 50-year-old father of 2, Corey Comparatori, whose funeral is being held today, and seriously wounded David Dutch, age 57, and James Copenhaver, age 74. Authorities have spent much of the week pointing fingers about who was responsible for securing the AGR building from where Crooks opened fire. He appeared publicly at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, again wearing a bandage, and they go on to give you a lot of the background that you've already heard. Here's another story from ABC News. They detail what the shooter was doing in the hours leading up to the attack on former President Trump. The day before the shooting, Thomas Matthew Crooks went to a local shooting club and practiced on the rifle range. Counsel for the Clairton Sportsman Club confirmed to ABC News. The 20-year-old purchased ammunition shortly before the incident, both online and in person, according to law enforcement sources. He asked his employer, a nursing home where he worked as a dietary aide, to take the day off on the day of the shooting, but said he would be back as soon as the next day. Sometime before the shooting, Crooks searched the internet for both Trump and President Joe Biden, as well as the dates of Trump's rally in Butler and those for the Democrat National Convention in Chicago. That's interesting. Sources said he also left a message on the gaming platform Steam, in which he said that July 13 will be my premiere. Watch it as it unfolds. On the day of the assassination attempt, he asked if he could borrow his father's AR-15 style rifle, saying he wanted to go to the shooting range. Crook's father had previously let him use the gun for target shooting and did not raise suspicion. But it is very interesting that his parents began calling police just before the shooting, about an hour before the shooting, is wondering about their son's whereabouts and concerned about his welfare. What triggered that? That's very strange. Crook went to a local gun shop that day, bought 50 rounds of .556 ammo. He stopped at Home Depot to buy a ladder, though the ladder has not been found at the scene and was not believed to have been used to access the roof. He basically parkayed his way up to the top there. I mean, I'm not saying this guy was a parquet athlete, but you didn't have to be. You jump on a big box air conditioning unit, and then it's a short jump up to a relatively low roof, and then another step up to the main roof. It was, in my advanced age, I could have done that. How they did not see that is just baffling to me. He then drove to the Trump rally in Butler, parking about a third of a mile away at a gas station. For at least an hour before the shooting, Crooks was seen walking around near the rally areas. Crooks was seen in video obtained by Pittsburgh ABC affiliate WTAE, pacing just beyond the boundaries of the Trump rally at 5:06 p.m., 1 hour and 5 minutes before the first shots were fired. He was also seen walking near the magnetometers minutes before the shooting, according to law enforcement sources. Some witnesses reported him as a suspicious person, law enforcement say. So there you go, a sort of a TikTok, and it's all about the TikTok. But what's very clear, and from the information that we're now getting, is that minutes before Donald Trump came out, they had identified this guy as being on the roof and as being a suspicious person. And they still let Donald Trump go out on the stage. I want to turn now to the the two officers from the township, the Butler Township, they only have about 14 officers. I got this information corrected from yesterday. 14 officers. 7 of them were assigned to go out there and patrol and help with traffic, not really be responsible for securing the area. But when average citizens started pointing out the fact that there was a man on the roof and he had a gun, they started running toward that building. And then there were 2 local Butler Township police officers who got to the lowest corner of the roof that they could find at the time. One of them boosted the other up so he could get his hands and pull himself up to look over the top of the roof. It was then, the very first moment, we found out that indeed the shooter had a gun. And he goes from being a person of suspicion to a person who had a weapon and was a threat. The shooter turned his rifle toward the police officer. You know, he didn't have any other way to defend himself, so he dropped down, couldn't pull his weapon because he's got both hands holding him up to just look over the edge of the roof. So he drops down. He falls about 8 feet. But then that police officer and the police officer who had given him a boost get on their radios and start saying, there's a man with a gun. He's on the roof. Man with a gun on the roof. We hear all this from Thomas Knight, the Butler Township town manager.
There was actually a total of 4 Butler Township officers that responded to the building upon the initial call. They did a perimeter walk trying to identify the individual on the roof. Subsequently, as the perimeter got wider to try and get a better plane of view to the roof, 2 of the officers did in fact engage in lifting an officer up to the roof to actually get a vantage point of visual determination. Once the weapon was pointed at him, he let go of the roof and dropped approximately 8 feet to the ground. At that point, both that officer and the officer that had helped boost him up, both were on their radios indicating, that the individual was in fact on the roof and was armed. My understanding is that everybody who was working the actual security detail could hear anybody who was affixed to that tactical channel. I can tell you the interviews that our officers have had directly, subsequent to the shooting itself, have all actually been with the FBI.
FBI is conducting this investigation, not the Secret Service, and that's as it should be. The Secret Service is under investigation itself. So there you have it. I mean, apparently the big question was when they got on the radios and started saying there's a man on the roof with a gun, were they on the tactical frequency? And apparently, according to the manager of the township, yes, they were on the tactical frequency, which means that everybody, everywhere, should have heard instantaneously that there was a threat. Now, I think a really good case can be made that the police officers from the Butler Township may have saved the life of Donald Trump. I mean, think about it for a moment. The guy pokes his head up. All of a sudden, now the shooter knows I've been spotted. They know I'm here. Now I've got to act quickly if I'm going to carry out what I hope to carry out. And so he's rattled, no doubt. Anybody would be, and your heart is pumping, and so he's nervous. His adrenaline is surging, and he rushes the shot. And because he rushed the shot, he missed, just barely. I mean, really, just barely missed Donald Trump. You could make the case that if it had not been for that head popping up at the last moment, that a very different outcome could have happened. If it had been able to take his time, then it would have been different. Man, I'm telling you, there are so many questions about what went wrong. But it's pretty obvious that they should have had somebody on that building, and they did not. It's pretty obviously that should have been within the perimeter, not on the outside of the perimeter. And it is by the grace of God that we're not telling a very different story today. 21 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. D.T. McCall has been around in this area for more than a century. Think about that, a family-owned business that's been here more than 100 years. And you don't make it that long as a family business unless you have a reputation for treating people right. And they do. For one thing, they don't play the games with you. You go in and you find something that you want there at DT McCall's, and they'll give you a good price on it. I've bought a lot of stuff from DT McCall. The prices have always been, I think, very good. And they give you a good price on it, and then they say, okay, that's what it is. And then they don't play the game that the big box stores play. You know what I'm talking about? Well, did you want it delivered? Well, that'll be a little extra more. Would you like it set up? Would you like it installed? Well, yes, of course you do. Well, that's going to be a little extra as well. Hey, how about having the old thing hauled away? Well, that'll cost you more too. And that price that they quote you at the big box store turns out to be not such a good price, right? 5 convenient locations, furniture, appliances, anything you can think of for your house, you're going to find it there. And whenever possible, they sell products that are made and manufactured right here in Middle Tennessee. Don't you want to give your money, your hard-earned money, to a Tennessee company that does business with other Tennessee companies? Of course you do. If you want to find out about their 5 convenient locations, just go to their website. Find out all that you need to know about DT McCall's at dtmccalls.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A major breakthrough in a local hit-and-run case will wrap up the day on Wall Street, and a major cool-down is on the way. Those stories at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
One way or the other, regardless of how you feel about Joe Biden, he is our president. He is responsible for, making sure that the nation is safe and projecting the power of America on the world stage. And, when you're a weakened president, did you see him getting on that plane? Oh, my gosh. He looked very frail. And I think that is noted by our enemies on the world stage and that they are taking advantage of it. I think that we're in a time where we really need to be very, very careful about watching what's going on around the world. We have a weak president, a sick president, and a president who is, really about as a weakened a presidential figure as we've had in some time. And our enemies on the world stage, we're talking about people like Russia and China and North Korea and Iran and all of the proxies of Iran are acting badly. China, from USNI.org, China's People Liberation Army Navy Shandong Carrier Strike Group conducted 240 fighter aircraft launches and recoveries and 140 helicopter takeoff and landings over the course of a week, operating in the Philippine Sea, according to a news release from Japan's Joint Staff Office. They are still deployed in the area. They've been acting badly in that area, in the Philippine area, and they've been acting badly in Taiwan. They've been running all kinds of what they look like war games, where they surround the island with aircraft and ships. And one day it won't be a war game, it'll be the real thing, but you just don't know when. They're testing the resolve of the United States. They're testing the defensive capabilities of the island of Taiwan. And they should not be doing this. And they would not be doing this if we had a stronger president, of somebody who was actually respected or even feared in the world. Russia's Medvedev, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, said the accession of Ukraine to NATO would be a declaration of war against Moscow, and only prudence on behalf of the alliance could prevent the planet from being shattered into pieces. That's pretty strong language. The leaders of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, pledged at their summit last week to support Ukraine on an irreversible path to full European Atlantic integration, including NATO membership, but left open when that would happen. Medvedev, deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council and a leading voice among Kremlin's hawks, told the news agency that Ukraine's membership would go beyond a direct threat to Moscow's security. This, in essence, would be a declaration of war, albeit without a delay, he said in remarks published on Wednesday. Very concerning. And I'll just, I won't get into a great deal of detail, but it's worth your time and attention to take a look at what's going on with Iran-backed Houthi rebels attacking more ships. That's happening. Iran supports the Houthi rebels. They support Hamas. They support Hezbollah. And they are not backing off in that support in any way. Iran is still the bad actor in that part of the world. 30 minutes now, past the hour.
It's 6:30. I'm John Michael. Mostly sunny and 83 degrees. Your full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Following a manhunt, the man wanted for questioning in the death of the owner of Smokin' Thighs has been charged with criminal homicide. According to the Metro Nashville Police Department, WSMV reports 24-year-old Ulysses Martinez is being charged with criminal homicide after Matthew Carney was killed in a hit-and-run crash on June 19th at the restaurant on Wedgwood Avenue. MNPD said through further investigation today through the homicide and traffic units, Ulysses Martinez at this hour is being charged with criminal homicide and evidence tampering in the death of the Smokin' Thighs owner. Money news, here's Daria Albinger.
From ABC News Wall Street now, stocks tumbled across the board. The Dow, which had been heading into record territory for days, ran into a roadblock, falling 533 points. The S&P gave up 44, and the Nasdaq closed down 126 points. The losses hit many corners of the market, and in many cases, in stocks that reported earnings that beat analysts' expectations. Netflix reporting better than expected numbers after the closing bell. Domino's Pizza dropped nearly 14% after some robust earnings, but the chain is suspending its forecast on how many stores will remain open over the long term. Darden Restaurants, which owns Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, and other chains, fell almost 3.5% after announcing it would buy the Chuy's Tex-Mex chain in a $605 million all-cash deal. More Americans applied for jobless benefits last week. The Labor Department says first-time filings rose by 20,000 to 243,000.
All three major indices closed down today. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
So here's a question. What was it like the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Was it stinky? Was it smelly? Did you see greasy old rags lying around? A filthy countertop that you wouldn't dare touch? Another thing that stinks, repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest and they don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, maybe it's time that you check out Eurofix. Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you'll get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Never pay dealer prices. Eurofix now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call 844 Eurofix, that's 844-Eurofix, or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com, and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Wow, I'm telling you, look, I know that if you're one of these people who's intensely plugged into politics, you're starting to see a lot of tweets that suggest that Biden has stepped aside. I have not seen anything authoritative on it yet. My general sense of it is that it's going to happen. I think that it's reached that critical mass point. I would look for something to happen if it's going to happen over the weekend. I don't understand why that would be the case, because it seems to me that if you're going to do something, that you would do it, in a way to disrupt what the Republicans were doing, but they don't seem to be thinking that way. I don't know. We'll see what happens in that regard, but I do think that there's a real sense that it's coming to an end. I got a story here. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, this is 55 minutes ago from the Washington Post, has told some House Democrats she believes President Biden can be persuaded fairly soon to exit the presidential race amid serious doubts he can win in November, according to 3 Democrat officials familiar with the private discussions. Following Biden's halting debate performance and the panic it unleashed among Democrats in and outside of Washington, Pelosi is taking a strong behind-the-scenes role in trying to resolve the political crisis by playing an intermediary for upset rank-and-file Democrats and relaying those messages to the White House. The former speaker, who left her leadership in 2022, still wields enormous clout. She told California Democrats and some members of House leadership she thinks Biden is getting close to deciding to abandon his presidential bid. Some Democrats fear that by staying in, Biden will end up handing the White House to Donald Trump, 3 Democrat officials said. Pelosi's aides declined to address her talks with colleagues, dismissing the media feeding frenzy about her discussion with Biden. So there is that. I'm quoting from sources that normally are plugged into Democrat circles, and some of those are sources I would not normally quote, but I mean they're the ones who have the best sources in this regard. CNN, President Joe Biden is more isolated than he has ever been, with many senior-ranking White House and campaign officials now privately believing he must abandon his campaign for a second term, and soon. The next 72 hours are big. One Democrat governor, in close touch with party officials, relayed to aides on Thursday, this can't go on much longer. In interviews with CNN, more than 24 sources familiar with the dynamics inside the West Wing and the campaign said there is now, listen to this, widespread acceptance that Biden's remaining in the 2024 race is wholly untenable. Everyone is saying it privately. People see and feel the walls closing in. Another top Democrat close to the White House described Biden as having become exceptionally insulated and isolated since the CNN presidential debate on June 27th. Multiple sources said some of the most senior advisors to Biden, including advisor Anita Dunn, attorney Bob Bauer, campaign chair Jen O'Malley, Dillon, have faced the ire of the president's family in the aftermath of the debate. That has only had the effect of making Biden's inner circle of advisors with free access to the president, which has already been famously small and impenetrable, even tighter. Impenetrable. I think that's right. So, sounds like things are up. I mean, if they can get through to Biden, but I have a feeling that they're pumping sunshine. I think Jill Biden is the biggest problem. I really do. Feels like something is in the offing. I wouldn't be surprised if it came down at any moment. Now, I have to say this. People are yelling at me. Well, we want Biden. Well, we're not in charge of that decision. That's a Democrat decision, and they're going to do what they're going to do. But it's my job to tell you what I think is going to happen, not what I tell you, you want to happen. And what I think is going to happen is I think by the time we get to Sunday, he's going to be out. I just feel that way. It feels like that's what's going to happen. Tonight really should be all about Donald Trump. If Democrats don't take the opportunity, which if I were a Democrat, I would take the opportunity to try to interrupt that messaging from Donald Trump tonight. But if they're not going to do it, then it probably will happen over the weekend. But, I mean, I'm telling you, if you've been around big stories like that where there's a big something's about to happen, and the only person who doesn't seem to be aware of it is the person at the center of the controversy. This happens all the time. But, I mean, right now, there's a drip. There's a drip. There's a drip. And it turns into a flood. And it feels like the drum beats are getting stronger and stronger. There's blood in the water, and the sharks are circling, and I think something is in the offing. Couple other stories I'd like to get in before we, wrap up the show today. Things that we've sort of been putting on hold because of the other amazing stories that we've been trying to cover. We told you the story the other day about Chark Consolving, an operator and owner of the East Side Bowl in Madison, who posted a thing right after the assassination attempt, said we were inches away from freedom. And there have been a hue and cry in the Nashville area about this. And so the headline reads, and this is from the Tennessean, will Nashville businessman's comment on Trump shooting stop a new Mount Juliet bowling alley? Apparently, Consolving is trying to come up with a plan to open up he already is the owner of the East Side Bowl in Madison. He wants to open up something like that in Mount Juliet. And the folks in Mount Juliet are not happy about it. Now, Consolving has apologized for the post, which has since been removed. He said the statement was impulsive and thoughtless, made at the spur of the moment. I've never intended to advocate violence or to advocate for violence, and that's not where my heart has ever been. Elected officials in Mount Juliet have still reacted strongly. We had one of them on. The feedback from elected officials is basic outrage, says Mount Juliet Mayor James Manis. Mount Juliet's commissioners gave preliminary approval to a mixed-use development named Golden Bear Place at Beckwith Road and Golden Bear Gateway near I-40. The plan includes 660 homes and a commercial space that includes a bowling alley officials have identified as East Side Bowl. I forgive him, but I don't want anything to do with him, says Ray Justice, who was on our program a couple of days ago. So that story is still reverberating around, being picked up by other news organizations. Donald Trump is coming to Nashville next week. Next weekend. Former President Donald Trump will make his way to Nashville next weekend for the Bitcoin 2024 conference. In one of his first appearances since GOP lawmakers and delegates officially select him as the Republican presidential nominee. The appearance comes exactly 2 weeks after the attempted assassination attempt at Trump's Butler, PA campaign rally. He still intended to be there. All the Bitcoiners are going to be there. His speech will be made in person at Music City Center at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And they say that security is being reevaluated. It's always going to be tight, but it's going to be much tighter now. I mean, tight. They're not going to give you any details, but it is being reevaluated, and they're looking at the system. I guess everything is under reevaluation right now. If you work for the Secret Service, all plans are being gone over, I would imagine, in greater detail. Chris, how much do you think, this is a weird story, how much would you think that an old parking lot down on Lower Broadway, in the 200 block of Broadway, what it might sell for if it were to go up for sale?
Ooh, big money. $10 million, I'll say.
You're still low.
Ooh.
This is from WTVF. One of the largest open spaces on Lower Broadway will see new construction. Before June, 201 Broadway, the corner at Broadway and 2nd Avenue, was owned by Old Trolley Tours of Washington, Inc. At the end of the month, it was purchased by Fundamental Income Properties of Phoenix. The sale price, $16.25 million for a parking lot. Is one of 3 parcels at that corner to be purchased by Fundamental Income Properties. The company purchased 203 Broadway and 205 Broadway in 2022. The land is valuable. It's also within the Broadway Historic Preservation Zoning Overlay. And so anything that they do there will have to be approved by the Metro Historic Zoning Council. They want to build a 79-foot tall bar with a rooftop deck bringing the total height of the building to 93. If approved as presented, would be the tallest building in the entirety of the Broadway historic overlay, with the exception of the Ryman Auditorium, which was here a long time ago. According to the Metro Historic Zoning Commission, the bar is outside the National Register District, but it's very close, and there's precedent that other businesses, not also in the district, agreed to adhere to those guidelines, so they probably will be asking them to adhere to the guidelines. So $16.25 million, $16.25 million for a parking lot. Holy moly.
Man.
The land down there.
How original they're going to put a bar. I've never thought of doing that.
Who would have ever thought to put a bar on Lower Broadway? I can't imagine. As we get through the convention, as we get into next week, I think we're going to have to be talking about this story a lot more. The Metro Council has moved the Nashville Transit referendum to the November ballot. Mayor O'Connell wants to raise the sales tax to pay for some people have said $3 billion. I've heard it's more like a $6 or $7 billion transportation plan. I'm not sure that raising the sales tax 0.5% is going to do it, but it seems to me that this is going along. I mean, the council and the mayor are all on board. I don't think this is right. I don't think it's right at all. I don't think it's a good plan. I don't think it's the right plan. And I don't think they've been completely truthful in the things that are in this plan that they don't want to talk about before you vote on it. I mean, one of the things is they're talking about a lot of bus lanes. Well, that sounds good in principle, but we're not talking about new pavement here. They're not talking about new roadways here. They're talking about taking roadways that you now use to drive upon and turning them into busways, dedicated bus lanes. So what that means is if you drive a car into Nashville, it's going to be more difficult, not less difficult, to get to work. They're not shooting straight with you on this stuff. And they're hoping that, you'll just go along, yeah, we need to do something about traffic. Yeah, 0.5 cent, that's no big deal. And then the thing moves along and you find out it really is going to cost you a lot more long-term than that. But they have passed it by the council. It is scheduled to now be on the November ballot. And it was passed unanimously. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell declares the transit referendum great opportunity after council approves the November vote. Of course he thinks it's a great opportunity. It's his idea. Folks, trust me on this when I say it. You need to bear down and study this matter really, really close. I'm not sure this is all that it's cracked up to be. I think this is a bad thing for people who live outside the city and are trying still to get to Nashville. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Grace Point Healthcare is the place where you go for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient health care. They can help you in all those ways. They are affordable. Their medicine procedures are comprehensive, and they can get you in quickly, so that's convenient, right? It's all medicine delivered the old-fashioned way, which is what you want, right? Listen, if you're starting to think about back to school and sports physicals, Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. They want you to know that scheduling an international vacation or mission trip, they can help you get ready for that. Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all other international immunization protocols. And as I said, because they will see you the same day or the next day, you don't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. I mean, what good is medicine if it's not done when you need it? Again, that's modern medicine at your convenience, delivered the old-fashioned way. They are located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. Call for an appointment.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.